India has signed an agreement with the United Arab Emirates that will allow it to settle trade in rupees instead of dollars. Apart from this, Sri Lankan President Vikram Singh made a statement hinting at settling Sri Lanka's trade in the Indian rupee as well. The billion-dollar question that arises now is the Indian rupee becoming stronger? And is it a direct challenge to the US dollar's hegemony? To talk about this, we have with us Professor Dr. Suyash Bhatt, Director at AFTI, and he's joining us live from Dubai. Thank you so much for joining us in WION, Professor.
Thank you.
Right. Now, Professor Bhatt, the Indian currency compared to the US dollar has underperformed, but the new deal between the UAE and India is a new opportunity for the Indian rupee. How do you assess this?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting development. I believe RBI has for I think almost now 6 months trying to push the digital rupee as a concept, and this trade agreement is going to be a landmark in terms of settlement happening in rupee based payments, and this is very important because there's a lot of money that countries lose when you convert from dollar, your local currency, to dollar, and then again back to the local currency. And when you have a rupee-based payment system, it's a logical step. So if you have UPI, which is a local payment settlement system which you have created, you also need to have an international payment system, something like SWIFT or a likes of it. But that cannot happen overnight. So I believe this rupee settlement system that has been signed up with the Central Bank of UAE as well as RBI is a step in a right direction. It will boost the digital rupee initiative that the RBI has taken, and the UAE is already the fourth largest foreign investor in India, and also our trade, the largest import that we have from UAE is, of course, oil, and the second is gold. So this will really help in managing the trade as well as the balance of payment.
Right, Professor Bhatt, you speak of the benefits of the transactions happening in rupee and dirham, but talk to us about what kind of challenge does this pose to the United States dollar?
So this entire concept of de-dollarization actually started since this, you could say, the Russia-Ukraine war, and not because of the war per se, but you could see in a history of maybe 100 years of financial systems that are created. For the first time, someone stopped access to a global payment system which is there. So like, if you and me today want to send money from India to anywhere else, or from anywhere else to any other country, SWIFT was the only platform available. And now that they put sanctions and other things where they literally stopped access to SWIFT to Russia, a lot of other countries started thinking that what if this happens to us? Do we have an answer to that? And this actually started this movement. And I believe the Chinese government has already invested heavily through the Belt and Road Initiative, where they are trying to push yuan into developing countries. India till now had never thought of a need of that, but now I think this government is serious about it, and already the RBI had taken initiative of digital rupee, but now this as a concept is now taken to its logical conclusion, and I feel in next 6-7 months there will be also an international payment settlement system which would be developed by the Indian government for facilitating these digital rupee transactions.
Right, you speak of the digital rupee initiative by the RBI. The RBI earlier also said that it is time to internationalize the rupee, and we are seeing how there are steps that are being taken towards that. But what are the challenges that the Indian rupee faces?
Correct. So this is a very important point that you actually mentioned. So whenever you talk about cross-border payment, there has to be some kind of stability in the currency. So when you talk about, say, yuan and dollar, so yuan is a fixed currency. So $1 equals to 7 yuan. So for almost a decade or so, it was almost at the same level. And now in last half a decade or so, it has changed. But how much? By maybe 10 basis point, 20 basis point. So your underlying currency has to be constant for any such trade to happen. So imagine UAE takes, say, 1 billion rupees worth of trade, and now it has to make payment. And what if the rupee falls? So UAE will be stuck with that expensive currency, and so these kind of challenges have to be ironed out. So when you say rupee dirham initiative, it has to be more of a you could say a balance of payment kind of a scenario, where if UAE is exporting oil and gold worth, say, 20 billion US dollar, and if India is exporting, say, food grains and maybe precious gems and jewelry to UAE, worth, say, $20 billion, then both have the same amount. So the rupee that UAE gets, it can use for maybe making payment to India itself or Indians for settling the transaction. So payment settlement is very important, and that cannot happen if you have a volatile currency. So I believe the next part or the next leg of the puzzle that the RBI has to solve is how do you bring this kind of parity in terms of currency and bring down the volatility especially.
Right. My last question to you, Professor. Talk to us about the international transaction system and the nuances of it.
Yeah, so as I said, all these, whether UPI getting enrolled in or incorporated in France, and when the PM Modi visited there, and now this UAE dirham trade that we are trying to talk about, is this all happening first time? The answer is no. There is already integration of pay now with UPI, which facilitates cross-border transactions between Singapore and India. And this was done long back. Now all we need to do is have similar systems developed over a period of time, which is more like an answer to the CIPS that China has made. So China's cross-border interbank payment system is more like a answer to SWIFT, and which is what India needs to develop over a period of time to make sure that this kind of an internationalization of rupee happens, and also acceptability happens. So if truly this has to be successful, there has to be a settlement system at the back end created to facilitate these transactions. But I'm sure the kind of technology that we have, the India stack and other things, this should not be a challenge. These are interesting times going ahead, where you have de-dollarization and rupee trying to see its true space in global trade, and it would be interesting times to observe going forward.
Absolutely. Rupee and yuan both are now directly challenging the dollar. But thank you so much for joining us on WION, Dr. Bhatt, and sharing your insights with us on this. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. Thank you.